going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a vinyl haul showcasing all of the records that I acquired within the month of November this year in 2021. I'm not going to chit-chat too much because we have a lot to get through in this haul. We have some new music from Courtney Barnett, one of my favorite new discoveries, that being the Velvet Underground, Walmart exclusives, and much, much more. You definitely don't want to miss this. It's about to go deep, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest finds. Alright guys, so we are going to be kicking this haul off with a bunch of records in this first segment, starting off with a band that I have been, I guess I could say, obsessed with these past couple of months. I have showcased records by this band in my previous other monthly vinyl haul videos. The band I'm talking about is of Montreal, and this album is called Daughter of Cloud. It's actually a compilation which brings together various B-sides, EP tracks, and unreleased material from the period of the mid-2000s going into the early 2010s. I love Of Montreal. They do have some great kind of retro psychedelic pop vibes to their sound. Their more recent stuff, especially this period, works in some more electronic type elements, and I'm still kind of warming up to that stuff, and I figured getting this used pressing at my record store would be a nice little primer to dig into some deeper Of Montreal territory. As you can see, it always comes with great psychedelic, trippy type artwork, and there is a nice insert in here which has more artwork as well as some liner notes. Comes pressed on standard black vinyl with some very nicely designed custom center labels. So really happy to have this in the collection for cheap and also dig into some other Of Montreal type stuff. And this record, I'm not quite sure if it is necessary for me to own, but given, I guess, the novelty aspect of it, given the fact that I actually already own a legit pressing of it in my collection, when I saw this, I was like, all right, maybe it's worth digging into. I don't know, maybe the radar was on when I saw this. This is Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. This right here is an unofficial pressing of the Israeli pressing that came out back in 1975. And what is distinguished about this pressing right off the bat is the front cover, because you do have the Burning Man photo, which is usually centered on the cover, but you also have the shaking hands emblem, which was a sticker on the black bag that the record came stored in originally. So they work in those two graphics there. And the back cover is basically one side of the original printed inner sleeve, because there you can see the picture of the diving man in the middle with the lyrics and basically the track list on the back. So it's an interesting amalgamation when it comes down to the artwork, but that's how that country got it back in the day, and I figured this would be an interesting thing to own. And of course, since it is unofficial, these pressings do tend to come in a vast array of colors, and this kind of comes pressed on, I guess you could say, a milky type blue colored vinyl. And of course, there's the custom shaking hands center label. Just figured it's something kind of unique to own in the collection, so an interesting piece of Pink Floyd vinyl to have. And then we take a trip to the BBC with the Rolling Stones On Air. This is a collection of various BBC recordings ranging from 1963 going into 65, so it's the really kind of true R&B type roots type stuff when it comes to the Stones. They do things like, Can't Get No Satisfaction, covers of Roll Over Beethoven, Route 66, The Last Time's on here, just all kinds of early great Stone stuff. Here is the back, and also nice gatefold sleeve, which features some early shots of the band there, which is pretty cool. They do come with nice printed inners, very colorful inners too, I should say. It's a very vibrant type release. More liner notes, and it also breaks down the various recordings as well. And just for the case of showcasing one of them, does come with rather nice custom center labels and nice heavyweight pressings as well. So glad to have this to beef up the early Stones collection. And here is a legal bootleg type release. I found a distributor where I can get a lot of these types of releases from for very good prices, and I got this for a very cheap price, and it was still brand new, sealed. I'm guessing they sat on stock for a while, and I convinced my good friend Mike over at Retro Spin Vinyl to get a copy, and that kind of gave me a push to get myself a copy. So it's good to have friends that collect, because if you enable them, they can also enable you in the process. It's a never-ending cycle. This is Dream Theater live at Summerfest Milwaukee on June 29th, 1993. This is during the Images and Words period of the band, and I believe I've heard bits and pieces of this show on YouTube. This bootleg has circulated a lot, and it does tend to get released from time to time under various titles and released by various labels. Sound quality on this is fantastic, and the set list is great. You know, it has Metropolis Part 1, Under Glass Moon, Fortune and Lies, Status Seeker, which is off of their first album, which is fantastic. Pull Me Under, Learning to Live. If you're into early Dream Theater, this is a great release to check out. So super stoked to have this. Standard black vinyl with a rather kind of generic type center label, which is fine. It's all about the music anyways. But now I'm also wondering if they would perhaps license this recording and release it as part of their Lost Not Forgotten Archive series. That's their official bootleg series. Not quite sure if there's any plans down the road to release it, but if they don't, got this great legal bootleg to have in the collection. All right, guys, so here are some more record store pickups. This next record I'm going to show you guys is one that I stumbled across in a box full of stuff in the back stock room of this store that I manage. My coworker, Patrick, has been going through boxes of stuff just to get out on the floor, just stuff that has amassed to where just things get too busy. We can't go through them. But now that we have this period before the holidays kick in, it's an opportunity for us to kind of clean stock in the back and put some stuff out. And when I saw this, I was immediately intrigued, and I decided to get my hands on this for the collection, because it is a record that I have been wanting to get and also wanting to sink my teeth into. This is one of those records that I personally had never listened to on my own, and I figured it was worth having in the collection, and that is Patti Smith Horses. This is her first album, which came out back in 1975. This is a Record Store Day first release from 2012, so it's been at the shop for a while, but I figured it would make its way into a nice home in the hands of a record collector. So super stoked to have it, and it does come on the original light blue Arista Records label. And upon noticing the dead wax, and this is a little nerdy thing of mine, I noticed some initials with a @CA, which basically it's MZ @CA, which means that it was mastered at Coherent Audio, and Coherent Audio is run by Kevin Gray, who is one of the best mastering engineers out there. So super stoked to have this in the collection. And I also may have done some enabling as well. And this next legal bootleg I'm going to show you guys comes from the same distributor that I got the Dream Theater record from that I showed you in the last clip. I was kind of enabling Patrick to pick this up for himself. That way it gave me the incentive to get a copy for myself. Just always doing what I do best. And this is the New York Dolls live at Radio Luxembourg in Paris, 1973. Basically, it's the first album live. You know, you have Personality Crisis, Looking for a Kiss, Vietnamese Baby, Trash, just, you know, great stuff from that first Dolls record. Absolutely love this stuff. Just a great slice of New York glam rock from the early 70s, which is good, and comes with a nice custom center label as well, which is pretty cool. And if you remember from my last monthly vinyl haul, my boss got his hands on a huge, massive Beatles collection, and it seems like he is continuing to bring stuff in like each week that he stops by the store. And I'm not quite sure if this comes from that collection, but I saw that he brought this in, and it was almost full circle in a sense when I decided to get it for the collection. And it is a piece of Beatles vinyl, and that is the Long Tall Sally EP. Now, this pressing here is the Record Store Day pressing that came out in 2014. As you can see, it is in mono, and they mastered it from the original master tapes. And I remember seeing this at the counter of the record store back in 2014 when I was just getting into collecting. And I remember it caught my eye, and it was kind of priced kind of high back then. But it's all full circle because here I am now working at that same shop, and this came back into the store. So I decided to get a copy for myself. Now, granted, I do have these songs. It's basically some covers and some originals, you know, Long Tall Sally, I Call Your Name, Slow Down, and Matchbox. You know, I have them on the Past Lives compilation. I have the Mono Masters compilation in the box set, but you gotta have the EP itself. So this is pretty cool. This kind of basically came off the heels of the Mono box set, which had just been released on vinyl that year in 2014, because you can see they're kind of promoting it with this insert. And I'll showcase the vinyl itself. It's a nice, sturdy, heavyweight pressing. And it comes on the Parlophone 45 label, which is very sweet. And very happy to get my hands on this cool piece of Beatles vinyl with the Long Tall Sally EP. All right, guys, so here is an upgrade for my collection. Not necessarily a better copy of an upgrade, but kind of just simply getting a new variant of this particular album that just got recently reissued for its 20th anniversary, which is this year. And it is also my favorite album by this band. And the band that I am talking about is the White Stripes, White Blood Cells. This album is, like I said, my favorite of theirs. Has Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground, Hotel Yorba, Fell in Love with a Girl, We're Gonna Be Friends. A lot of standard White Stripes tunes on here, but this also has, you know, The Union Forever, Same Boy You've Always Known, Offend in Every Way, I Can't Wait. This album is solid from beginning to end. This is one of the greatest rock albums of the 2000s, and this is a new pressing that Third Man has put out, because they did reissue this back in 2010 with the other early White Stripes albums. And this is basically just a simple, I guess you could say, a repress, because it does have the same catalog numbers, so there's nothing really too crazy about it, but does come in a nice shiny tip-on style jacket. And I should mention that I did have that 2010 black vinyl press, but before I get to the goods, it does come with a nice insert with photos, all the lyrics. But the main reason I swapped my black vinyl copy and got this one is because this is the indie exclusive Peppermint Pinwheel colored vinyl press. So as you can see, it's basically white vinyl, and we have these various kind of red petals going around the record, and then here is the back side. And what's interesting with the way that this is manufactured, which, as far as I know, I believe this was pressed over at Third Man Pressing, not one is going to look the same as the other. And I see on the Third Man Records Collectors Facebook group that, you know, some copies are more so white and there's a little speck of red. Some are more red than white. I would say overall on the A side, I'm pretty pleased with it. And then you get a nice, cool kind of red effect on the backside. So very happy to get my hands on this. And also, when it comes to Third Man and their colored pressings, they are very scarce to find, you know, down the road in the aftermarket. So I really wanted to jump on this now and upgrade my copy of my favorite White Stripes albums. So super stoked to have this. And then here is a new discovery that I made recently. This band just recently released a new album, and I wanted to check out some of their earlier work, so I ordered some copies of their two other albums for the store, and I put on Spotify in the speaker system that we have in the store the second album, which is the one that I got, and I immediately loved what I heard, and you guys really got to check them out. The band is called Blackwater Holy Light, and the album is called Veils of Winter. This is their second album. The best way that I can describe this, right off the bat, it's an all-female band. They're on the Riding Easy Records label, which, of course, that label is responsible for the Brown Acid series. This is like a female version of Black Sabbath, but with some elements of shoegaze. I like to call it doomgaze, just because it mixes in that beautiful, lush, melodic sense with the heavy, doomy, you know, riffs and such. But this album is absolutely solid. you know, opening tracks, Seeping Secrets, Motorcycle, Daylight, Death Rum, Spiders. I mean, this, you really got to check this out. Now, if you love Sabbath, you will love this album. And overall, solid release. And it does come with an insert, which has all the lyrics. And I'll show you guys the vinyl. And like I said, since it is on Riding Easy, they include their logo on the other label. So very happy to have stumbled across this particular band, and now I got to seek out their first album as well as the new one that just came out. I know I ordered some copies. Maybe I'll snag them once they come in. So it's an awesome new discovery indeed. And then here is something that I bought off of my coworker slash friend, Patrick. He has a Discogs account where he sells some bits and pieces. And I saw that he had this up for grabs and it looked interesting. And he made me a very sweet deal on it, which is super righteous of him. So thank you, Patrick. It is this Rolling Stones EP. This features Brown Sugar, Bitch, and Let It Rock. This came out for, I believe it was Record Store Day back in 2011. It is also numbered. This is copy number 4620, and the versions of Brown Sugar and Bitch are from the Sticky Fingers album, which at the time when they reissued this, it was the album's 40th anniversary, and the version of Let It Rock is from a live show in Leeds back in 71. So cool to have this interesting piece of Stones vinyl. And just to show it off, it does come with the classic kind of Rolling Stones Records label with the yellow and the black text with the tongue label. So super cool indeed to have this cool piece of Stones vinyl in the collection. All right, guys, so I brought some records to trade in at my record store, and I left with some cool new additions to my collection. This is a band that I have been talking about a lot lately. I'm sure if you watch my September and October haul videos, you may have seen me talk about this band. It is one that I have been digging deeper into. It's perhaps the best new music discovery that I made this year in 2021, and the band is called Of Montreal. I decided to go into their earliest stuff because I have been loving what I'm hearing with albums such as Owl Hills Arboretum, Satanic Panic in the Attic, and what I have here is an EP called The Bird Who Continues to Eat the Rabbit's Flower. Now, from what I understand, there was an EP called The Bird Who Ate the Rabbit's Flower that was released in 97, right after their first album, but this right here, The Bird Who Continues, is actually an extended version. This came out back around 1999. Just a little mini album slash EP with a small narrative. Of Montreal was really digging into the whole kind of concept album type structure with their early material. But very excited to give this album a shot. And just for the sake of show and everything, it does come with a nicely illustrated insert here. And we have some custom center labels here. So very excited to dig into this. And then the other album of theirs that I picked up as well alongside this is also one of their most reputable albums, and that is an album called The Gay Parade. This is basically considered to be the indie pop equivalent to Sgt. Pepper. So just by that alone, I'm sure there was a lot going for this record. It's funny, I bought both of these, not hearing a single note from them, but just the early Of Montreal stuff just has this great retro aesthetic to them that instantly gravitated me. You know, if you're a Beatles fan, you will absolutely love this stuff. You can even hear a little bit of Syd Barrett-esque Floyd in there, a little bit of Monkees, just an overall 60s psychedelic tinged sound. So super happy to have this. And I should also say that both of these do come with download cards, but what I like with the one that's featured with the Gay Parade is that it does feature a pretty cool period photo of the guys there. That's Kevin Barnes, basically the mastermind behind this band. And insert here with a rather aesthetically pleasing custom center label. If that doesn't scream 60s, I don't know what does. So very happy to dig into the early Of Montreal works with these two albums. And aside from the records that I got from my trades, I also decided to purchase this record after I had just recently purchased their second album, as you saw in the last clip in this haul. I was able to get one copy each of that album as well as their first album here. The band I'm talking about, of course, is Blackwater Holy Light. Decided to pick up their self-titled debut. I need to double check and see if I can get in their new album, because if I can, I will be snagging that as well very soon. But basically, you know, Sabbath-esque doomy riffs with some elements of shoegaze. It's basically doomgaze. Like, that's the best hybrid genre that I could label these chicks, and it is just absolutely phenomenal. I loved that second album, Veils of Winter, which is the first one that I got, and I have very high expectations for their first album. And what was a nice surprise, because this, of course, they're on the Riding Easy Records label. They do a bunch of color variants of stuff, and sometimes it's kind of a, you know, a luck of the draw, basically. So, like, depending on what pressing you might get, you know, it could be a certain color or a certain cool variant. And sure enough, the copy that I got of this album is this cool kind of gold ripple colored vinyl. So it overall has this ripply effect going on, as you can see there, but there's also a little bit of marbling as well. So you get bits of like red, green, and white. It just overall creates a rather cool hue that overall matches the sort of color aesthetic of the album artwork. So super stoked to have this, and I'm telling you, between Of Montreal and Blackwater Holy Light, this has been a promising time of year for new music discoveries. All right, guys, so recently the Record Spinneret and I did a little road trip around New Jersey, and the first stop of our day was in the town of Bordentown, just to do some shopping in the downtown area. It's a very lovely area, and the great thing with Bordentown is that there are two record stores just a couple blocks away from each other. There's Randy Now's Man Cave and The Record Collector. Now, if you remember, some time ago, I did a record store road trip around New Jersey, and I did manage to visit those two stores. And I also did a video at the Man Cave with my dad's back in the summer. So it was great to revisit those stores. And of course, like I always tend to do with, you know, journeys and trips that I go on, I try to commemorate them with some vinyl purchases. So I made it a point to leave with something, and I got some cool stuff to show you. So the first couple of pieces are the ones that I got at the Man Cave. This record I actually almost picked up when I went there with my dad in the summertime, but instead I left with the McCartney Ram in mono. That was the more kind of high priority thing to purchase. But when I saw this, I remember that I was so close to getting it previously, and since it was still there, I figured, you know what? It's calling for me. It's coming home. And that is David Bowie's Reality. This album came out back in 2003. Many people thought for a long time that this was going to be his final album, because he went on tour for it, and then he had a heart attack, and he kind of just disappeared from the public eye for the longest time, and many people thought that this was it. But then 10 years later, The Next Day came out and just kind of broke the cycle. But for a while, people thought that this was it. Some people don't like this artwork at all. I think it's rather interesting and unique. Kind of features a sort of, I guess, anime-looking version of Bowie, which is pretty cool. And this right here is a Friday Music pressing. They first reissued this back in 2015. I believe this is a recent repressing that has come out. I want to say sometime like last year, and I believe it's out of print right now, which is crazy. The Friday Music stuff tends to go quick, I guess, depending on how long it's licensed for and whatnot. But aside from the cool triple gatefold sleeve, as you just saw, this pressing does come pressed on yellow vinyl with a nice custom center label, which is very, very cool. So super happy to have this. And one of the musicians that performs frequently at the Man Cave, because he does host, you know, live shows and such, is Robin Hitchcock. And I did pick up his latest self-titled album at the Man Cave just to check it out for myself, and I really loved what I heard. Kind of has a slight kind of Syd Barrett-esque type influence, and I saw this 7-inch of his there. This is called The President. Randy was telling me that Robin sells these through his fan club, and he also gave some copies to Randy to sell at the Man Cave. So I figured for $7.99, might as well pick it up. So very happy to have this. And then we walked down a couple blocks to the Record Collector, and I left with a collection standard. This is an album that I have been meaning to get for a number of months. And if you remember my last vinyl haul, I picked up one of their albums, which was the first one that I have ever owned in my collection of this band. When you see the cover, it just makes total perfect sense. Velvet Underground and Nico, the first album. I do have a bit of a great story to tell you with this record, because obviously I am aware of the significant influence that the Velvet Underground has contributed to music, you know, from the 60s onwards. And I remember one time I was at an Old Navy and I was picking up some stuff for a trip that I went on to Yosemite sometime in late May. And I heard this song play on the loudspeaker, and it was one of those moments where the entire world just kind of stopped around me, and my mind was like in sync with this song, and I never heard something so beautiful in my life. And that song was Sunday Morning, and I immediately flipped out when I heard it, and it made me, I guess it gave me more of an incentive to check this album out. And of course, aside from Sunday Morning, it does have tracks such as I'm Waiting for the Man, Venus and Furs, All Tomorrow's Parties, Heroin, I'll Be Your Mirror, just a beautiful tune. Honestly, I mean, as truly artistic as this album is, this is just a beautiful album. I mean, Nico's vocals are great. Lou Reed just has a great androgynous voice. It is phenomenal by all means. And just for the sake of it, don't worry, it's adhesive. I had to do it. Here's the back cover, the original uncensored back cover. I'm sure you know the whole backstory behind, you know, the backdrop, and they had to change it. And then, of course, the gatefold sleeve. And for the sake of showcasing everything, comes on that classic blue Verve label. So super stoked to have this in the collection, and this is another one of my great musical discoveries this year. All right, guys, so here is a new release that just came out this week. This is an album that I have been anticipating since it got announced back this past summer, and I can tell you right now, this is probably going to be one of my favorite new albums to come out this year. It is the newest album from Courtney Barnett, and this album is called Things Take Time, Take Time. And so far, based on the singles that have been released off of this record, which were Ray Street, Before You Gotta Go, and Write a List of Things to Look Forward to, I am getting the vibe that this is going to be a very chill kind of album, whereas her first album had a lot of variety when it comes to, you know, some of the more mellower moments and the more kind of heavy moments. And I felt that the second album, Tell Me How You Really Feel, featured a lot more angst in it. This, I think, is going to be a very chill, melodic type of listening experience, which honestly I have no issues with, because when it comes to Courtney's music, she is very strong when it comes to melody, and that is what gravitated me deeper into her work back when I decided to kind of delve into her solo works after she did the collab album with Kurt Vile, which was some time ago, and that is one of my favorite collab records of all time. So I'm very happy to say that thanks to that record, I delved deeper into Courtney's music, had a chance to meet her sometime before COVID happened, and she signed my copy of her Unplugged album. I did a whole video about that, which was really cool. But yeah, very psyched to have this album. I kind of babbled a little bit there. As you can see, features some various shades of blue on the sleeve with a nice spot varnish finish to it. Here is the track list in her handwriting, which is pretty nice. Gatefold sleeve has all of the lyrics in her handwriting, kind of similar to the gatefold sleeve of the second album that she did. And the copy that I got is the indie exclusive variant, and this comes pressed on sort of baby blue vinyl, which is very nice indeed. Cannot wait to spin this on the turntable. And the next record was something that a customer brought into the store, and it kind of caught my eye, and I figured, why not get it in? Kind of a little bit of reasoning behind it. It is Def Leppard, Mirrorball, Live and More. This is a triple live album from Def Leppard. It comes with a couple of new studio cuts. Like I've said before, I am not a die-hard Def Leppard fan. I really do like their work. I'm digging deeper into their kind of earlier works. And of course, I have Pyromania. Still need to get Hysteria. That one has all the hits on it. But my reason for justifying this purchase was because back in 2014, I did see Def Leppard live twice when they did the co-headlining tour with Kiss. Actually, kind of ironic because I'm wearing the shirt that I got from that tour. But even though this did come out in 2011, a couple years prior to that tour, I figured this can constitute for being a sort of souvenir type thing, since it does feature basically most of the songs that they played live at that show on this record. And of course, when I checked out the record itself, I knew exactly what pressing this was, because it does come pressed on clear vinyl, which indicates that this right here is actually the Walmart exclusive pressing. So kind of cool to get these kind of pressings in at the shop. And yeah, just a very cool piece of live Def Leppard vinyl to have in the collection. All right, guys, so here is an upgrade for the collection, because prior to owning this pressing that I'm going to show you guys, I had the Friday Music pressing of this album, and when I saw this more recent pressing still available on the market, it had enough going for it for me to go through the whole upgrade process. What record am I talking about? I am talking about Deep Purple, Made in Europe. This features the Mark III lineup of David Coverdale, Glenn Hughes, Ian Pace, John Lord, and Ritchie Blackmore. One of my favorite Deep Purple lineups. And while this album came out after the band had broken up in 1976, this album is rather historically significant, because the shows that were recorded for this live album from the band's European tour from 75 were indeed the last shows that Ritchie Blackmore would do with the band before he would go on to do Rainbow. So it's a cool little bit of history, and it's kind of riding off the coattails of Made in Japan, hence why it's called Made in Europe, but it's just a single LP, and honestly, it is a quick dash of purple, and you really cannot go wrong with it, because the track list is phenomenal. Opens up with Burn, which is always a great concert and album opener. We have the bluesy Mistreated, Lady Double Dealer, You Fool No One, Stormbringer. It gets the job done, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. Not saying that Made in Japan does, but, you know, one LP, one punch. That's all you need. But here is the artwork. And what this pressing has, which is the Rhino Start Your Ear Off Right pressing from 2020, is that it does come with a gatefold sleeve. My Friday Music press did not come with a gatefold, so this was a nice little, I guess, upgrade piece to the pressing. And of course, just to tie it in with the band's name, this pressing comes pressed on purple vinyl, and the Friday Music press came on standard black, which is totally fine. But why not go for a more fancier looking version, and plus with the gatefold as well, like I just mentioned. So super stoked to have this cool upgrade in the collection. And here is a new, now I don't want to say new artist, but a new artist for the collection. She has been around for a couple of years, and the Record Spinneret had actually recommended me this particular artist some time ago. She said that it kind of reminded her of Courtney Barnett in places, and it's also ironic because this musician is also from Australia. The artist I am talking about is Alex Leahy, and this album is called I Love You Like a Brother. Kind of, you know, indie popish in places. The big notable track on this is the track Every Day's the Weekend, which is great fun, and I am definitely excited to check out the rest of this album. It does come with a nice printed inner sleeve. There she is right there. All the credits. And this is also the indie exclusive variant, which comes pressed on yellow vinyl. So very stoked to have some Alex Leahy in the collection. And once again, many thanks to the Record Spinneret for suggesting her work to me. All right, guys, so I got a chance to check out the Walmart early Black Friday $15 vinyl sale. Went to the Walmart that was closest to where I work at, and they basically had all the exclusives out there that were on sale for 15 bucks. You know, they had the Ozzy Diary of a Madman, Dixie Chick, CCR, Journey, Hall & Oates, and a few others. But there was honestly one exclusive that I wanted to get my hands on, and when I saw that it was there, I was like, absolutely, I need it for the collection. Kind of something I already own to some degree. I'll explain it. This is the Jimi Hendrix Experience Freedom Atlanta Pop Festival. This is basically a highlights release of Jimmy's set from the Atlanta Pop Festival. The Hendrix estate has released the full show in its entirety. It's either on 2 CDs or 3 LPs. I do have the 3 LP version in my collection, but this basically kind of takes the core cuts and puts it all on 1 LP. And this is kind of similar to what Target did last year when they did an exclusive pressing of select recordings from the Winterland shows, because all those shows have been released under 1 box set, and that single LP compilation brings together the prime cuts from all of those shows, and that's exactly what entails with this release. And as you can see, it's basically a whole new package in itself with different artwork. Here is the back cover, which is the same from the 3 LP version. And on this, you have All Along the Watchtower, Freedom, Foxy Lady, Purple Haze, Hey Joe, Voodoo Child, Stone Free, Star Spangled Banner, and Straight Ahead. So it basically just kind of consolidates it all onto 1 LP, which is quite nice. And this pressing comes pressed on white vinyl with some red and blue swirls. Those swirls are kind of faint, but you can see them in there. Rather nice piece of colored vinyl, and also mastered by Bernie Grundman, pressed to quality record pressings. So for all of those that say that Walmart records are meh, not exactly. Especially when it's pressed and mastered by the best facilities and people. So happy to get my hands on this. And here is a moment of weakness. So I saw that this became available again after it had initially sold out roughly a year ago when it first came out. And then I realized that on the website that it was being sold on, it was 25% off site-wide. It might have been 25 or 30. I'm not quite sure. It was a very good percentage off. And I had a sort of gift card voucher to save even more money on top of that. And I basically got this for an unbeatable price of roughly 20 bucks, which is really, really solid. And let's just say it'll serve as a colored upgrade. What am I talking about? It's my favorite band of all time. It is Kiss Unmasked. This came out back in 1980. Peter Criss does appear on the cover, but he doesn't play on the album. This is, I guess, labeled to be his last album with the band, since he did appear in the video for Shandy, and he appears on the cover, but instead Vinnie Poncia appears on the drum kit from the David Letterman band. Basically, this is sort of Kiss's pop kind of album. They feature in some more synthesizer-esque type influences. Honestly, I love this record. This is a solid, solid album. Doesn't really rank too high in the whole ranking of the Kiss discography, but it still is some good fun. And basically, what the Kiss has been doing in recent years is that they have been doing colored variants of all of their albums for various anniversaries and such. And I kind of missed the ball on some of the earlier ones, but then I kind of just started to seek them out little by little, and I managed to get my hands on this colored pressing of Unmasked. And just to showcase everything, it does come with the fold-out poster, which is very nice. And the color of the vinyl of this particular pressing is absolutely splendid, and I think it matches the overall vibe of the album perfectly. This comes on white vinyl with rainbow splatter. Look at that. That is absolutely stunning. Looks very, very sharp. And I believe basically like when this first came out, which was roughly, I want to say October of last year, it sold out initially, and then all of a sudden copies became available just out of the blue. And luckily I had enough going for myself between the the site-wide discount and the gift card voucher that I can save some bucks on this and earn myself an upgrade in my Kiss collection. All right, guys, so we have a familiar face. This is my good friend Mike over at Retrospin Vinyl. He is one of the members of the youngest members of the VC. He came down to my neck of the woods in South Jersey, had a great time, gave him a bunch of stuff that he had bought off of me at the record store, and we decided to do some shopping ourselves. And
he made me buy things.
look, I am the perfect salesman. You do realize this. But actually, we went to 2 stores, not exactly record stores. We did go to the big box stores. Don't crucify us.
And if you crucify us, then I guess we're just going to start singing Tori Amos.
Anyways, so we went to Target, and I saw this, and it was like literally right in front of the stands, and it caught my eye immediately. And I was, of course, I love shopping with Mike, because with us being music business majors, we like to negotiate. It's like, all right, I'll buy this if you buy that. And he goes, all right, I'm going to buy all these if you go and buy this as well. So needless to say, we did some wheeling and dealing, and I snagged something that, honestly, I had been meaning to get my hands on since it came out fairly recently.
I'm impressed that you got it, period. But
well, I kind of knew that I would get it at some point, but it was just like whenever I would get around to it. And just, certain things are higher on my priority list than others.
Kiss.
Exactly. but I left with... Don't laugh, guys. This is Taylor Swift Fearless, Taylor's version. Now, this is the first in a series, basically, where Taylor Swift is going to be re-recording her early works since, Big Machine Records?
Yes.
That was her old label. Owns the rights to it. She doesn't really have a hand in it. Just a whole...
There's a whole
backstory behind it. Yeah.
We won't get into that.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other video.
But needless to say, she's in the process of re-recording her works just so she can retain her work, basically. Yeah. And this is it. So she basically re-recorded the entire album, plus a bunch of other tracks from the vaults that, didn't get released on the album itself, or deluxe versions, bonus tracks, whatever. So I decided, since I was with Mike, since Mike is a big Taylor Swift fan, as well as the record spinnerette, that I would feel the collection. And I do have to say, the packaging on this
it's phenomenal,
is absolutely stunning indeed. Nice triple gatefold, photos and such. It is very nice.
It's expensive, but you're getting your money's worth.
It really, it's not too bad.
Like, I mean, I don't like the price point, but you do get what you're paying for.
But since we were at Target, I got the Target exclusive pressing, which comes pressed on red vinyl, which is honestly, since it's a Target exclusive, what other color would you expect?
Yeah, pretty much. And I must say, Dylan, I don't know if you have much knowledge of the original release and how it sounds in regards to Taylor Swift's Fearless from, I believe it was 2009 when it came out.
Yeah.
But that's a very faithful reproduction.
Is it?
It's like, people like you and I who have the musical training behind us in the music business stuff can hear the minute differences, but for the untrained ear, you might not be able to tell a lot of the differences between this version and the original version.
Interesting.
And of course, the Volt stuff is fantastic, and
sweet.
you can't go wrong.
Super stoked to have this in.
So, guess what I got?
Yes.
Well,
Mike, show what you got.
So I went in there intending to buy this and this only, but we'll get into that in a moment. Taylor Swift, Taylor's version Red.
Yes.
Which, Red is my least favorite studio album by Taylor Swift. However, this version is phenomenal. This is making me more of a Red fan, I must admit. Petition to have an Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift album, maybe. But, yeah, this is an awesome release. And the 10-minute version of All Too Well, me and the record spinnerette were very much so nerding out over text upon its release date. And, yeah, we were not prepared. But the back cover is beautiful, a beautiful shot there. And this was what I wanted to get in here. And also, I'm very disappointed that there's nothing special about this version coming from Target, because the Fearless Taylor's version did have a special poster or something included in it. But whatever. I'm not going to nitpick. I'm happy to have the music. I'm happy. I'm a happy human being. But I saw this there. Yeah, right. Words. So I saw this there, and I was like, I listened to this on release day, and I was like, damn, this is fire. And I was like, I don't want to spend the money on this too. Dylan saw that, and he's like, if you get a record, I'm not buying this unless you get a record. And I was like, I'm not buying a vinyl record. I didn't want to buy a vinyl record. But I did want this as well. So I said, what if I buy both of these? Will you buy that record? And he's like, okay. The negotiation we talking about. The bada boom, a bada
Yes,
bing.
bada bing, a bada boom.
But, yeah. I listened to this on release date, and it was fire. Silk Sonic, this is Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars. A lot of stuff is on modern pop radio, a lot of this release. But, you know what? Bruno Mars is a modern day Prince. He is one sexy and funky motherfucker. And I must tell you, he really knows how to groove. There's things here and there that I don't like, just with any artist, but he is one of the best modern acts, and especially of modern funk and soul. People usually write him off as a pop artist, which I don't disagree with. Listen to this. This is some funky stuff. It is awesome. And, ooh.
Awesome.
Woo! I don't know if my man DJ Funk watches the record spinner here, but let me tell you, Mr. DJ Funk, if you are watching, you got to get this. I mean, obviously you'll get the vinyl version. You're not like me who gets a CD vinyl, everything like that. I mean, you are, but you'd rather get it on vinyl. I know you well enough. Get this into your life. Silk Sonic. It is beautiful, and you know what? I'll even extend this to Miss Lady Soul. If you're watching Dylan's video, buy this. It is beautiful.
Beautiful indeed.
Just like you two.
That's right. You watching. You out there. You're beautiful.
Out there.
But that is not all that we went to. We went to Walmart. And of course, like I said in my last clip, $15 Black Friday sale. I am a major hypocrite. I did not buy just one exclusive that was part of this sale. I decided to stock up. Well, mainly because Mike had said that he didn't have a copy of this particular album.
On vinyl record. I have the CDs and cassettes.
And honestly, I don't have... All right, this is going to sound shocking to you, man. I don't have any records by this band, period.
Well, I guess this is a good starting point.
So, to be honest, it really is.
Next to the Greatest Hits album, this is a good starting point.
Journey, Escape. Classic album. Don't Stop Believin', Stone in Love. Open Arms is on here, so...
You forgot another very big one. Who's Crying Now, too.
That's the other hit on this one?
Yes.
Gotcha. See, that goes to show how much of a Journey fan I am. It's one of those bands where, like, I want to get records of, you know, just because, you know, you hear it all the time. But you know what? Good music is good music. But for the sake of showcasing
and they very nicely recreate the original inner sleeve, because at one point I did have an original pressing of this. I no longer do, but I did have it at one point. But I wanted to get a fancy jazz album, and these are fairly readily available, so especially now with this pressing, but... And they recreated the center label nice, too. Coke
Bottle Green vinyl, mastered by Chris Bellman. That means it's going to sound wonderful.
And this is a brand new remaster. This is a brand new everything. 2021 everything. So this is... I don't know if this is the only pressing of this mastering, but...
It honestly is, because the only other reissue that has come out in recent years was a Friday Music pressing, and that is very expensive. It came out like almost 10 years ago. So hopefully there will be a standard black press that will be available to all the other stores, because, I mean, honestly, that's going to follow suit. But if you're into colored variants and whatnot, Walmart's the place to go for $15. And I had a moment of weakness, because when I saw this get a new press, like, I thought to myself, oh yeah, that's absolutely cool. But then it wasn't until I saw people posting about it on Facebook and I saw pictures of the vinyl that did it justice. And I'm like, you know what? I might as well. I already have this in my collection, so it is yet another upgrade. But
that's how I am with like all these bootlegs and various things he's showing on his channel. Like I'm just like, all right, well, I guess I gotta buy it now.
But needless to say, what I have is going to a good home, because Mike is buying from me the black vinyl copy that I have, because now I have the exclusive of Ozzy Osbourne's Diary of a Madman. And you know what? Come to think about it, this is more sentimental, because this was the very first Ozzy album I ever listened to. As a kid. I literally got this on cassette when I was 5 for Christmas.
Wow.
So, you know what? I am more justified.
Yeah, that's funny. My first Ozzy albums I had, I don't know which one was first, but it was Blizzard of Oz and Black Rain.
And in the words of Casey Musgraves, justified. Record Spinnerette, I hope you're watching this. But
if she's not, then she's not a real fan. And she needs to get off your channel permanently. No, I'm totally kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
Record Spinnerette is a trademark of the Record Spinner.
And she's one of my favorites too, so she's great.
Check this out.
Look at
that. This is a beautiful piece of smoky blue vinyl. It looks a bit marbled depending on the angle and the lighting that you see it at, but if you shine it, like, you can definitely see it. Like if you hold it up like to like a light like that, you can really see the
They
effect.
can really see it when it's out of frame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. trust my eyes. But no, honestly, this is a solid pressing. It's so beautiful, and very happy to have it in the collection. And just as I was saying earlier with, negotiations and buying, Mike, what did you buy?
Well, I'll go back to what you first just mentioned with Ozzy Osbourne. I now have the exact same pressing, right? Oh no, actually no, it's a different pressing.
So minor nerdy thing.
Yeah, there's actually something
I looked in the dead wax. This is a brand new cut, despite there being a 2011 copyright date, because that is the 2011 pressing, all analog, mastered by Ryan K. Smith, pressed to RTI, all that. Yeah. So like this sonically, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Sonically.
I'm sure. I mean, the CD, I have a CD version. It's a deluxe packaging of
I have that as well.
The original album and then that live disc.
Yeah, the live show. Yeah.
I can't remember which anniversry that album, which one it is at this point. But I've had that. I was gonna say it's in the 30s because I got that like 10 some years ago.
Yeah.
Back when it was like new. But yeah, one of my favorite Ozzy albums. I mean, Over the Mountain, You Can't Kill Rock and Roll, Flying High Again. I mean, it's classic Ozzy. And that is his second album, I believe.
Second album, yes.
Yeah, good stuff. In regards to the buying of records otherwise. So, we were looking at some stuff, and Bill and I was on the fence about some of the stuff, even though I wanted some stuff, but I was like, yeah, I'll save my money. Well, what Dylan didn't know is that a couple moments later, it was creeping up on him as he walked over to the shelves. It was scary, it was horrifying, but it jumped out, launched at him like it was a tiger. Lions, tigers, and bears on mine, except this was Kiss action figures. 2 of them.
I don't think I have them on hand, but there were 2 Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons Kiss action figures.
Yeah, there were Kiss action figures.
I bought those.
They were terrifying. There was Spaceman. There were demons. There was everything. It was terrifying. We almost lost our bowels, but we made a deal. After they attacked Dylan maliciously for their love and support, what we ended up doing is Dylan was trying to convince me to get some of these, and I was just like, meh.
It's easy to convince this guy. It's easy.
But talking about our negotiations, it was just about an even give and take. Dylan buys both of those action figures. I buy both of these.
Sure enough.
So I got Journey. I got Journey's Escape. This is an album that I have on CD and cassette. Had on vinyl original pressing. Sold it to get something else. I think it was like a jazz record, whatever. Now I have this again, and I'm actually really excited because not only does it recreate the original inner sleeve nicely, but also the new remasters. I mean, I'm not that I ever was like a pressing snob or anything, but I always generally go towards the originals to early pressings. Nothing against the modern stuff, but it's just it's my cool factor, I guess. But as I get to know Dylan, and as he gets more modern pressings in my hand, or I just experiment and buy some more stuff because some of the modern pressings are cheaper than the original pressings.
That's valid. Yeah.
I'm actually really excited to hear how this sounds, like the modern pressing. So that's gonna be great. So I got that. And everybody is gonna. Now this is one of those bands that just because of the internet, it's been cool to make fun of.
They're a meme.
Not because the band is bad, but because they want to just be hip and make fun of them on the internet.
Yeah.
Along with the band Creed, really, because Creed isn't as bad as people make them out to be either. Help. Help. But I got this. This is a nostalgic album for me. When I started really discovering music, it was around the time that this band's album Dark Horse came out. However, I went back to this album, of course, near everything, because if you heard anything on the radio in 2005 through 2010, you heard all these songs all the time. And I got All the Right Reasons by Nickelback. This is a childhood album for me, really. And this, like Billy Joel's A Stranger and many other albums, this plays like a greatest hits album, honestly. Photograph, Animals, Saving Me, Far Away, If Everyone Cared, and Rockstar is just about the whole album.
Rockstar is a firm favorite of mine, I will say. I do like that
and
song.
When y'all just want to be a big rock star. Yeah. I mean, Follow You Home, Fight for All the Wrong Reasons. I mean, awesome. And you know what? If Everyone Cared is one of the best rock ballads of all time. Especially of the past 20 years. How about I put it that way? Maybe not of all time. I mean, we have a Kiss fan here, so we got Beth over here. But you know what I mean. Very good. 2017 pressing of the 2005 album, and yeah, great album. This and Dark Horse are definitely nostalgic albums for me from my childhood, but I got Dark Horse back when that album came out, Back when I didn't know what the song "Something in Your Mouth" meant
Oh, God.
in 8th grade. Oh, did I have a rude awakening. But anyway, that's what I got.
And we're both happy. All right, guys. So, of course, as you saw earlier in this video, one of the bands that I have been completely engrossed with is the Velvet Underground, and I am in the process of basically completing my vinyl collection of theirs and just getting whatever I can get in terms of their discography, and who knows, maybe some bootlegs down the road, but I'll approach that later. But I decided to snag another piece to kind of beef up the collection, and when I got the splatter pressing of Kiss Unmasked, I brought in my standard black vinyl press at the shop, and I decided to work out a trade deal, and I left with the Velvet Underground's self-titled album from 1969. This is their more kind of folkier type of sounding album. It's a bit more of a calm type of listening experience, very at home, kind of at ease. Overall, really dig the aesthetic and vibe of this record. Of course, on here there's What Goes On. After Hours is great with Mo Tucker on vocals. Pale Blue Eyes, just a beautiful tune, and definitely excited to dig deeper into this album. And just to add some collectability to it, the pressing that I was able to get my hands on comes pressed on white vinyl, which is very, very nice, and definitely excited to be giving this album a spin on the old turntable. All right, so I guess I fell down a rabbit hole because upon listening to the Alex Leahy album, I Love You Like a Brother, I decided to dig deeper into her work, and I absolutely loved what I heard, and I decided to get my hands on her other album, which is her most recent one that came out roughly 2 years ago, and this album is called The Best of Luck Club. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have not listened to a single note off of this record, but I figured, based off what I've heard already, I would come to really appreciate this one, so I was very happy to get my hands on it. And of course, just to show it off, does come with a nice printed inner with lyrics and some artwork. And this is also the indie variant, which comes pressed on white vinyl as well. And definitely have high expectations for this one, and definitely excited to give it a spin on the turntable. Alex Leahy, The Best of Luck Club. All right, guys, here are some more store pickups. First off, we have Of Montreal, The Controller Sphere. This is an EP that came out sometime in the early 2010s. Of Montreal tends to sprinkle in some EPs in between albums, usually consisting of, outtakes from the previous album or just bits and pieces that they've been working on. And this is another cool piece to have. Kind of works in some more electronic type influences on this one. And as you can see, it does feature some very bizarre and intriguing cover artwork. And it also does come with a nice insert as well. And then I also will showcase the vinyl center labels, since they do look quite interesting, which is very cool. So very happy to have this nice little small piece into the ever-growing Of Montreal collection. And then we get into some pop punk territory with Green Day's International Super Hits. This was their first compilation, which came out back in 2002, which covers the period of Dookie up until Warning. And there's also 2 then new tracks, Maria and Pop Rocks and Coke. And while this has been superseded with things such as, God's Favorite Band and whatnot, this is very much an in-depth look into the kind of American Idiot period, which in all honesty is the period that I perhaps gravitate to more when it comes to Green Day. But honestly, very solid compilation. Does come with an insert with all of the lyrics and some photos of the band members. And considering how much is on this compilation, it is questionable that it is all squeezed onto one LP. So I guarantee you this was probably cut very, very quiet. If you are an audiophile, this is probably not something to really seek out. But for myself, being a completist as well as an early Green Day fan, it was definitely something worth having in the collection, and very glad to have gotten my hands on it. All right, guys, so consider this a haul within a haul itself. I left work with a bunch of records, and it's all thanks to you guys because YouTube cut me another check, and it enables me to pick up stuff that has been sitting in my personal stash at work for so long, so that way I can make room for more stuff because it is a never-ending cycle. But needless to say, came home with some fantastic stuff, starting off with the soundtrack to Dazed and Confused. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. It takes place on the last day of high school in 1976. If I had a time machine, I would go back in time and live that because I seriously feel like when I watched this, I was born in the wrong generation indeed. But aside from being in love with the time period that this film takes place in, the soundtrack is everything. You have Rick Derringer, Foghat, Alice Cooper, Nazareth, Ted Nugent, The Runaways, Sweet, Skinner, Deep Purple, Kiss, Sabbath. You really could not go wrong with this. This is just right up my alley with a bunch of my favorites, and it is absolutely phenomenal. I do have the Volume 2 release already in my collection. FYE did an exclusive some time ago, and I had been needing the first installment, which is the big major one since it's a double LP. And they did this colored pressing of it a couple months back when it first got reissued, which was really cool. I've been meaning to get it for the longest time, and I think I literally put it in my stash when it had come out. And this pressing comes pressed on very nice purple vinyl with a nice custom center label featuring the cast, which is super cool. So very happy to have gotten my hands on this, one of my favorite soundtracks ever. And next we have And Now The Runaways. This was their last album that came out back in 1979 before the band basically kind of dissipated. Some of the notable highlights on here are their covers of 8 Days a Week and Mama We're All Crazy Now. There's a lot of covers mainly on this album. And yeah, like in all honesty, this album does tend to get a bit kind of, it scoops under the radar basically because of course all the emphasis is given to the first album, Queens of Noise, Live in Japan, and you know that's kind of basically it. So the other stuff kind of just gets overlooked. So I've been wanting to check out this album for a while, and of course at this point Sherry Curry was not in the band. Instead we have Vicky Blue sitting in on bass, Sandy West of course, Lita Ford, Joan Jett. So solid stuff. Nice gatefold sleeve with some liner notes, which is quite nice. And I'll also showcase the vinyl as well. This is the Let Them Eat vinyl reissue that came out some time ago. It's been at the store literally forever, and I figured I would bring it on home with me because I've been needing to fill a hole in my Runaways collection. So we have a nice kind of picture center label on this side and the track list right there. So pretty cool to have this, and then all I have to do is just get Waiting for the Night, and I'm basically complete. So hopefully I can get my hands on that soon, and my Runaways collection will be complete in terms of studio stuff. And then we are going to shift gears into some more modern territory. I have mentioned this band a million times at this point. You might already guess what's coming. It is of Montreal, the Sunlandic Twins. Now, this album I have been wanting to check out for the longest time, ever since I first delved into Satanic Panic in the Attic, which was the album that basically made me go down this massive rabbit hole of Montreal's work. And this album here was the one that came out after Satanic Panic. And according to the coworker of mine that turned me on to their work, he said that this was the next album that I should check out. And of course, I kind of went all over the place. I picked up some early albums, then I delved into some more recent electronic type stuff. But this is the next one in the sort of natural progression, and I am very stoked to check this out for myself. And this is a recent deluxe version that came out fairly recently. It is a 2 LP set. The main album takes up the first LP, and then the second LP is given to a bunch of other associated tracks from the time frame. But I will say this, the color of the vinyl for both of the records is quite impressive, because this comes pressed on sort of red and orange starburst colored vinyl, which is very cool looking. Absolutely love it, and it also matches the overall color scheme of the artwork quite nicely. And just for the sake of it, since, you know, not one is going to look the same, I'm going to take out the other and show you the other. That was the download card that just fell out, so I'll have to pick that up. So it's kind of more so red on this side, and then we have a bit more orange in the center there. So it's kind of cool how, you know, each one is uniquely different. So pretty cool to delve into this of Montreal record. And then we get back into the classics. I've been on a big kick with this particular guitarist slash band lately. And it's funny, this was actually when I started working at the store back around May. This was one of the things that I ordered for the store to sell, and I immediately put a copy aside for myself because I knew I wanted to get it at some point. And that day has finally come, and it is the Jimi Hendrix Experience Are You Experience. Now, of course, this right here is the UK version, which features an entirely different album cover. But what is notable about it is that it is in mono, because I already have in my collection the stereo pressing of the kind of standard album that we all know and love with the yellow album cover and everything. And of course, with this UK version, the big distinguished differences is in the track list, because we have tracks such as Can You See Me, Red House, and Remember, and a couple of tracks kind of just got swapped out and whatnot. And there's also, you know, there's no Purple Haze, there's no Wind Cries Mary, which of course kind of follows the UK policy of not including singles on albums. But, you know, it's a whole thing. But this is a very cool thing to have. Music on Vinyl put out this pressing over in Europe, since this is an import. And here we have a nice printed inner sleeve with some liner notes from John McDermott, who was one of the handlers of the Hendrix estates. Some cool photos of Jimmy right there. And then, of course, I'll showcase the vinyl. The center label is cool. It basically features that that photo from the American cover, all kind of different colors and whatnot. So that is pretty cool. So very happy to get my hands on some mono Hendrix. And I believe my mono Hendrix collection is complete, because between this and Axis Bold as Love, those were the only two that were given dedicated mono mixes. So pretty cool to finally have those. And here is a first for me. And I'm a big fan of this guy. This guy is one of the best storytellers. This is my first comedy album, I should say. I just gotta say, he tells a story perfectly. His delivery is just absolutely hilarious. He's lived a very interesting life, but it is just hilarious to listen to. This comedy album is Joey Coco Diaz, Socially Unacceptable. If you are into, you know, old school, you know, George Carlin, Richard Pryor type comedy stuff, you will definitely get a kick out of this. I ordered this for the store mainly for the sole purpose of me getting my hands on it at some point, and that has finally come. And of course, to add even more to it, the color of the vinyl is very beautiful. This comes on red marbled vinyl with some black smoke inside, which is very cool. So it's cool to see comedy albums get this sort of treatment, which is quite nice. So happy to get this. And then I had a moment of weakness. So let me just say this. We're going to touch on some Kiss stuff now. The 2014 reissues are becoming out of print. For what particular reason, I don't know. Some titles appear to be available sometimes, others don't. And basically, they're just becoming scarce to find, and new Kiss vinyl is sought after. And lately, there has been a lot of different unofficial pressings come out on colored vinyl. They'll include inserts and whatnot. If you're buying Kiss vinyl right now, you're more than likely going to encounter those in the stores. And while I do have all of the 2014 reissues from the US, and I'm also getting slowly but surely some of the German pressings that came out at the same time, let's just say I fell victim. So I picked up Hotter Than Hell and Dress to Kill. These are the recent unofficial pressings that have come out recently for these albums. And the obvious indicator, just from the cover alone, is these little hype stickers that appear on the sleeve, which says limited edition blue vinyl with exclusive poster. Now, just to show you guys the poster, this did not come with the original album. This is specifically designed for these unofficial pressings. It's kind of more just so like an insert that kind of folds out, and it features the album cover and some kind of interesting artwork that's kind of similar to the album cover, which is kind of interesting. It's something, but as you can tell as well, just like on the cover, the colors are looking a bit muted and faded here, which is kind of interesting. But the main reason that I kind of went after these are just some of the minor nuances that I encountered while kind of looking at these, because these were kind of cool to check out when I saw them. Right off the bat, the catalog number for this is CAL2007. And when I did my research, that was the catalog number for the 1977 UK press of Hotter Than Hell that came out back in the day. And sure enough, I check out the vinyl. And right off the bat, it is on a very nice piece of marbled blue vinyl. But look at the center label. That is the Casablanca Record and Film Works center label with the guys as they appeared on the Love Gun album cover, which is exactly how the UK Pi Records pressings came out, which, as you can see, there is the Pi label right there. So they're kind of taking the labels and they're having a run with it. Would have been cool if they did it on red vinyl, because Pi Records did red vinyl pressings of the Kiss stuff back in '77. So that would have been interesting to match that all up. So it's things like that that I keep an eye on for. And of course, if you're a Kiss fanatic like myself, this album originally was released on the Blue Bogart label, so it's interesting to have a label variant, have it be on colored vinyl, and just have a unique piece in general. And then we get to Dress to Kill, and with this, check this out. You can see the Polystar logo on the bottom right hand corner, which means that they used the catalog number and design from a Japanese press, which is quite interesting. And once again, I'll show you the poster. Basically, it just features the album cover as it appears on the front, and then the negative from the back. Just kind of opens up like that. Nothing too crazy. And then I will show you the color of the vinyl as well as the center label. So this is marketed as being on red vinyl. Has a nice kind of smoky effect depending on how you look at it. And that appears as well on the Casablanca Record and Film Works. Original came out on the Blue Bogart. But according to the catalog number and what I was able to find on Discogs, this Japanese pressing is from the mid to late 80s. So it's kind of interesting to have. But also, ironic too that it's on red vinyl, because with the Kiss catalog, Kiss Online, You Discover Music, Sound of Vinyl, do these colored vinyl reissues of the studio catalog. They do them on colored vinyl. They're limited, and the colored pressing of Dress to Kill is highly sought after. There's only like 300 to 500 copies made. It is one of the most valuable pieces of Kiss vinyl out there. It's crazy considering how recent it is. But what's interesting about it is that it was pressed on red vinyl. So it's kind of cool to have this sort of dodgy counterpart to kind of add in with the lore. So just off the bat, sleeve of a Japanese press with the Japanese Record and Film Works label, the poster, the red vinyl, how it all kind of ties in. They are just unnecessary, justifiable reasons for me to buy these albums again, because when it comes to early Kiss, you simply just can't get enough. So there you guys go. That is my vinyl haul of all the records that I acquired within the month of November this year in 2021. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support this channel, be sure to check me out on Patreon. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.